Kia ora, my name is Francine Nijdam and I want to welcome you to the presentation of my mini design-based research project. My research question was, how can Screencastify learning videos be designed to support an NCEA Level 1 online distance learner to use the statistical software Insight Lite to analyse multivariate data? This presentation is intended for educators who specialise in teaching mathematics and statistics to secondary school learners. Analysis and exploration. The Ministry of Education's illustrative draft vision for education in 2025, Lifelong Learners in a Connected World, gives an example of a student called Anton who studies mathematics through the Learning Centre at his local marae. In the absence of a mathematics specialist at the Learning Centre, the intended vision is that students such as Anton gain an effective mathematics education through online distance learning. In addition to this, as online charter schools gather momentum with an anywhere, anytime ethos, online distance learning will become more common. This realisation led me to create my learning context, which is an online distance learning module for secondary school age learners that covers the Mathematics and Statistics NCEA Achievement Standard 1.10, investigate a given multivariate data set using the statistical inquiry cycle. The objective of my intervention was to investigate how Screencastify learning videos can be designed to support an NCEA Level 1 online distance learner to use the statistical software Insight Lite to analyse multivariate data. In carrying out my intervention of creating Screencastify learning videos, my planning had to consider the needs of my learner first and foremost, the scaffolding they may require. I also had to consider how my videos should be structured and whether or not they would be interactive. I began my intervention by carrying out a literature review. The insights I gained were used to formulate my draft design principles. Design and construction. My first design principle was to use the Universal Design for Learning guidelines and incorporate the central elements to effective practices in secondary online education, as identified by Ryan and Beaulieu. My second design principle was that the teacher is to create their own online videos to improve student-teacher relatedness, as found by Muir and Geiger. According to Bradell and Wathney, these should be kept short, narrated in a serious but friendly tone with easy-to-understand language, and not read verbatim off the screen. My third design principle was to aid self-motivation and self-regulation of students by adhering to a massive open online course, MOOC, design requirement template created by Garcia, Tenorio and Ramirez. My fourth design principle was to cater for the diverse needs of online distance learners. My fifth design principle was to give provision for learner feedback using Google Forms. Bradell and Wathney state that learners should be given the opportunity to critique all aspects of the course, including videos. My sixth design principle was to have a student-centred pedagogical approach to learning as recommended by researchers. My seventh design principle was to provide students meaningful opportunities to investigate patterns in real-life data using the statistical software Insight Lite as identified by Forbes, Chapman, Haraway, Sterling and Wild. My first task was to design and develop my learning context. My initial idea was to produce a Moodle site. However, upon advice, I changed tact and decided to present my intervention to my learners on a Wix website, with the assumption that Google Classroom is being used as a learning platform. As I created my Wix website, I put my learners at the forefront of my mind and was guided by my design principles. In addition to perusing other learning websites, I drew upon my 16 years of experience working as a mathematics teacher. I set the website out in a clear and logical way that had a sense of balance and consistency. I chose a font and styles that I felt young people would enjoy. I embedded Contact Ms. Nijdam buttons on each page, and through my welcome videos I encouraged the learners to make contact with me. To breathe life into the website, I populated it with resources. When the entire shell of the website was completed, I honed in on the Year 11 Mat 1 course and spent time populating the NCEA Achievement Standard 1.10 on multivariate data. I then nested my intervention within Topic 5, Insight Lite. At this point I turned to creating Screencastify welcome videos, which was to help form a teacher-learner relationship and cater for the diverse needs of my learners. Here I focused on the requirements of a quality video as given by Bradell and Wathney. I then spent time learning how to use the statistical software Insight Lite to analyse multivariate data. I did this by experimenting, and I also watched YouTube videos. I then went about designing and developing my Screencastify learning videos on how to analyse multivariate data using Insight Lite. I decided to break them into 5 separate videos that all had a specific learning outcome. My final task was to design and develop a quick video evaluation using Google Forms to give learners the opportunity to anonymously critique my learning videos. I based it on the Bradal and Wathney requirements of a quality learning video. Evaluation and reflection. The evaluation of my intervention was carried out by a fellow mathematics specialist. After getting the person's approval, I met up with them and went through my e-learning intervention and its design principles. I then emailed them the link to my website and gave them instructions to critique the overall layout of the website and then hone in on the Year 11 Mat 1 course, Achievement Standard 1.10 on multivariate data, Topic 5 Insight Lite, and to watch the Screencastify learning videos within the 5 subtopics and fill out the quick video evaluations. They did so, and then we met again and they gave me verbal feedback and we critiqued the design principles together. Most of the feedback was very positive and I also gained some insightful recommendations for improvements. Using this feedback, I then reflected upon my intervention. Firstly, I asked myself whether or not it would result in meaningful learning for learners, and I do believe it would. Secondly, I reviewed the design principles. I only ended up making a minor change to my design principles, where I would now speak about learner preferences as opposed to learning styles. I felt that the design principles did not require modification and it was more a matter of improving the intervention to meet them. Thirdly, I identified the challenges I encountered in implementing my intervention. Initially, these were first-order barriers relating to not currently being immersed in a school. I overcame these challenges by confronting my own beliefs, a second-order barrier, and lack of design thinking, a third-order barrier. Conclusions and implications. The objective of my mini design-based research project was to investigate how Screencastify learning videos can be designed to support an NCA Level 1 online distance learner to use the statistical software Insight Lite to analyse multivariate data. I used insights gained from research literature to create 7 design principles for my intervention. I then created a Wix website, Screencastify welcome videos, Screencastify learning videos on Insight Lite, and Google Forms. Finally, after an external evaluation, I reviewed my design principles and found that they were robust and that the required focus would be on adhering to them. I also concluded that the intervention would result in meaningful learning for learners. In carrying out this intervention, I now have the confidence and ability to use e-learning tools effectively within my teaching practice, which will benefit my learners. As my Wix website is public, it could be accessed and used by any teachers and learners anywhere, anytime. Alternatively, the learning videos could be accessed on YouTube as they are also public. This means that my intervention has added to the online learner community of all teachers. Teachers could use them to aid in their teaching or be guided by my design principles to create their own Screencastify learning videos. Either way, this will surely benefit their learners. The next steps would be to get learners using the website and critiquing the effectiveness of the Insight Lite learning videos. One of the limitations of Screencastify is that there is no option to emphasise areas of the screen. The intervention could be refined by embedding the Screencastify learning videos into PowerPoint, which would enable the use of pointers, graphics and text. Diverse learners could also be further catered for by inserting subtitles or creating versions in other languages, such as Māori. The feedback from the Google Forms video evaluations could be used to improve the intervention. More Insight Lite Screencastify learning videos could be created to stretch learners' thinking. Learners could create their own learning videos using Screencastify to showcase their learning. Finally, other ways of creating learning videos, for example with Powtoon, could be investigated. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you have found it enjoyable and insightful. Please feel free to go and have a look at my website, view my Screencastify learning videos on using Insight Lite to analyse multivariate data, and fill in the anonymous video evaluations. Ka kite anō.